you see the things happening because of the COVID. If it's a very difficult time for everyone of us. And in this session, we also have participants from various countries, and all our youth are facing difficult situations. If it is in a regular scenario, probably we would not organize this sort of session where we invite people from different countries. Rather, we would probably focus on one of the session or one of the program only in one or other country. But this pandemic situation have also some opportunity. So for example, in this particular session, we have speakers from various countries, and all of them are sharing their experience working in the COVID pandemic situations, or their experience of how COVID has impacted youth in general. So before I start this session, I would like to ask President of the Youth Advocacy in Nepal, Naren Khatiwada, to chair this session. So I would like to acknowledge here Naren Khatiwada here.
Thank you very much, Suranjay, and welcome to all.
Thank you. So as you might have seen in the flyer, there are so many countries and youth representatives are speaking. Also today, we have a speakers here. I would like to acknowledge our guest here, Christian Manhart, Country Coordinator of UNESCO Office in Kathmandu.
Yeah, thank you very much for introducing me.
Welcome. We also have Country Coordinator of United Nations Volunteer, Ms. Moon Gurung.
Namaste, everyone.
Thank you, Moonji. I would like to welcome Sunita Mathema, who is Executive Director of ActionAid in Nepal.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you so much, Suranji. I'm so excited to be the part of this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, we have Uddhav Pakurel, Assistant Professor in Kathmandu University. He shall join in a minute, or he is in the list out of 131 participants so far. So the whole idea behind this conversation is just not just to share our experience, but at the same time learn from each other's experience, how they are facing difficulties and how they are turning this difficulty into challenge. And of course, we can hear so many stories. I'll come up with the list in a while. But before that, I would like to ask Devendra Pratap Singh, Youth and Education Coordinator of ActionAid Nepal, to have a welcome speech here.
Thank you, Suranji. Thank you so much to provide me opportunity for the welcome speech. Namaste and good morning and afternoon to all of you on the behalf of organizing and hosting country. A warm welcome from the land of Lord Buddha and Mount Everest. I am happy to hear and speaking with you all beautiful people here today in this occasion of IYD 2020. So already the Surin mentioned that the theme of this year IYD, Youth Action for Global Justice. So I would just like to express my very few words with you all. So the age group with a thirst of knowledge and passion to excel in life is a youth. The energetic vibes that you all generate in COVID-19 pandemic in your country to fight for human life. As well, we all are born in this advanced and digital technological era where we are playing with cell phones and different electronic means. So in this context, in COVID-19 pandemic, we all human are struggling to fight against COVID-19 and for new normal situation. So just would like to share thousands of young people associated with the informal sector employment, and they're all ultimately losing their job, and that it creates uncertainty, struggle, and fragile society. Young people are not able to get formal education through school and university because of poor internet connectivity, digital infrastructure in developing countries like us. Equally, it is important that young women are also facing extra burden of unpaid care work and high risk of GBV due to the restriction at their in their mobility, and also digital learning platform becoming an alternative in this pandemic and physical distancing situation. So need to in this context, it is highly demand to enhance the access of young people in digital learning platform through enhancing their capacity, providing the content in their local native language, and different types of e-learning packs on tailor-made courses. Similarly, the restriction in people's mobility ultimately impacting life of low income and poor and marginalized youth across the globe. The government should revise the youth policy and program in the light of COVID-19 to engage young people in response and recovery. I think we will share and we will gather to discuss such ideas and innovation what we are doing in our country. If we will not learn and be friendly with the methodology of all the intervention around us, we may not be able to invest something of our own someday. Of course, you all know the harder life in this COVID-19 pandemic, how it is impacting life of young generation. So finally, wish you all a very good future, and may the future of our globe will be brighter than the present crisis soon. So again, welcome and namaste to you all, and stay safe and healthy. Thank you. Over to you, Surenji.
Thank you, Devendraji. So if you talk about youth engagement, it's not only working by your own. You need to really collaborate. We all need to work together, and that's how the synergy comes. So this event has a huge collaboration feeling and the spirit of engagement together. Youth Advocacy Nepal, in partnership with VSO Nepal, ActionAid Nepal, UNESCO in Kathmandu, UNV, Restless Development, and more than 40 other organizations are engaged to organize this online session. And at the same time, all our youth organizations. So therefore, we are able to reach not only one country, not only two, indeed 17 countries, and only few of those could not make it today. I would like to go to the list of countries who are present here, and it probably could be more than this because we have shared this invitation to our networks all around the world. We have presence from Asia, Europe, Africa, virtually here, and also we have presence from the Facebook Live of this event. So again, we have reached beyond this Zoom. So here we have participants from Nepal, Pakistan, Tajikistan, India, Bhutan, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, the Netherlands, the UK, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Uganda, Tanzania, Madagascar, Somaliland. So these are for sure we have. If I miss someone, please write to me privately in chat. And again, I apologize if you are already not there in the list, but I can add. So it's already exciting. We have so many participants. That also means that our participants need to speak and share their experience in a very short period of time, 5 minutes. We have dedicated 5 minutes each. And of course, again, having the benefits of Zoom, I would like to ask participants to ask question in chat panels as well. There is a dedicated session at the end about having some questions to our speakers today. But if we have so many questions, it's quite hard to answer, and I'm just talking about the timing. So if we take this benefit of chat panel, please feel free to ask the question, write the question, and then our speakers can spontaneously answers. I also missed Bangladesh here. So again, we also have a participant from Bangladesh. I'm sorry for that. So I can start from, there's no any alphabetical order. So I'm just going from Asia. So let's start from Nepal, sharing of our experience in COVID pandemic situation and youth engagement by Mr. Leknath Pandey.
Thank you, Surenji, for the opportunity. Welcome all. My name is Leknath Pandey. I'm representing from Tribhuvan University. Can I share a few slides? What is the time limit?
5 minutes only for you, everyone.
Okay. I'll try my best to confine my presentation within that limit. I have a few slides. Therefore, can the host let me share my slide? Okay,
So
it
I
is disabled.
other host to facilitate in this, please.
Taraji, can you support to Leknathji for sharing the PowerPoint presentation here? Taraji?
I think he's out of.
I think it may not be at the station, so I would like to request to Leknathji to share orally, because all the speakers are sharing orally here.
Okay, no problem then.
Please.
No problem then. Thank you. Thank you once again. Good afternoon all. As my discussion with Mr. Narenji, I'm going to briefly touch upon the issue of COVID-19 in Nepal and way forward to mitigate its impact. Regarding the COVID-19 impact, I would like to present a brief scenario. What is the current status of COVID-19 impact? I think it has a irreparable loss, human loss. So far, 92 people have died in Nepal, and additionally 191 people died in other 16 nations, including USA, UK, UAE, and Qatar. As of August 12, that means yesterday, around 25,000 Nepali people have been infected in Nepal, and more than 40,000 people have been Nepalis have been tested positive with the virus all across the globe. And regarding the case, we traced the first case as early as January 2020. It is about 6 months, 8 months back. And the second case was traced in March 22. I think there is a huge gap. I think 2 months gap, but we did nothing. Just what our government and what our media and expert were busy at the time was that just analyzing the situation and reporting, the cases of the virus all across the globe and other countries, basically. But after the second cases was found, what government did was the imposition of nationwide lockdown. The government took decision in early phase, but it became effective to contain the virus spread only, but not the virus itself, because once the government started easing the lockdown in late July, the cases started spiking suddenly, since we share a long porous border with India, it is about 1,800 kilometers long. It is open and porous. There is no strict check of the movement from two countries, people from two countries. It is really hard to contain by Nepal itself. The impact of the COVID-19 or its mitigation approach will contingent upon the situations with our neighboring countries, especially India. After the government eased the lockdown, following the assessment of its irreparable impacts in economic fronts and day-to-day life of common people, government eased basically in service sector and informal sectors the lockdown measures, but once it was eased, the sudden rise, the cases and the death rate going up, day by day, and the one of the most worst hit area of the COVID-19 in Nepal was the informal people involved in the informal sectors and daily wages workers. But regarding the its impact in educational front and youths and children, one of the case we have not noticed much is the alarming rate of suicide case in Nepal, because within last 4 months there is a report of about 2,500 suicide cases are reported, which is almost double the ratio, normal ratio. And regarding the academic lives, it is virtually shut down.
I would like to request you to conclude in 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then I only focus on the approaches what we need to adopt. Media and public space is being questioned the government to increase the PCR test of COVID-19 and trace the possible infected people. And they have also raised the question about the imposition of smart lockdown, not wholesome lockdown all across the country. And we have to change ourselves to live with the virus, because even 2 months after the containment of the virus in New Zealand, we heard today that the new case also found out, traced. And we need to use, we need to be alert and apply and maintain safety measures, because since we have to live with it, we need to follow the guidelines, from the, made recommended by the authorities. And we need to change the approach in teaching, learning, and testing methods as well. Otherwise, we would lost our whole academic sessions, because for last 4 months our universities, schools, and colleges have been totally shut down, and no test, no examination, no enrollment is being done. Therefore, we have to resume the classes, if possible virtually or offline or online. And we have to let the economy run. We have to run the economy as well. Thank you, Surenji.
Thank you so much. So Leknath ji has just described how the country is going through the lockdown situation in Nepal, and of course so many other discussion talking about the education and how it's kind of stopped completely. So our next speaker is from Pakistan, Misma Noor. I would like to request you to share your experience. After that, we have participants from Tajikistan.
Assalamu alaikum, namaste everyone. This is Bisma Noor Jatoi from Pakistan, province Sindh, city of Hyderabad. I'm a student in the University of Sindh, final year student of English literature, and working as UNV, Pakistan United Nations volunteer. First of all, it is a great privilege and pleasure to be part of this event, and I appreciate EYN for initiating such a platform to voice and share our views regarding the pandemic situation and all the things going around us. Being myself a young student and final year student, I face some of the very dire consequences of this pandemic, owing to sudden stop to all of the activities, especially being a final year student, we are suffering much in this regard. So starting with the general scenario here in Pakistan, I would share that although there has been much, praise, like recently one of the UN officials praised the government handling of the pandemic. Other than that, WHO also praised for treating patients as per standardized protocol. Other than that, apart from this,
What happened?
I think we have lost your sound. Bisma, are you there? All right, seems we have lost her. And again, this is one difficulty doing online sessions, and we have to, cope with this. So if she can join again, we will continue that. Continue with her. Could I now continue with Irina Mesoyed from Tajikistan?
Yes, sure. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I hope that I will be able to limit my presentation in 5 minutes. So my name is Irina, and I'm working on different youth projects in Central Asia and in Tajikistan particularly. And thank you for letting me to jump in this discussion in order to share more information on youth lives during the COVID-19 period here. So just recently, I have had organized a 1 week of trainings in different professional fields for young people from Central Asia to overcome negative consequences of COVID-19 crisis. And during the application process, me and my team could collect almost 800 youth feedbacks about COVID-19 impact on their lives. And based on these real testimonies, we could conduct a brief assessment which revealed sometimes very sad but very relevant facts about how youth are being adapted to the new ways of life, education, interaction with each other, and etc. And it's evident that Central Asia was not an exception, and governments and the private sector were working with the youth to launch initiatives aimed at leveraging the efforts of young people to support their communities during the crisis. And through voluntary initiatives, many young people supported disadvantaged groups in their communities, such as through distribution of groceries or medicines. And meanwhile, in Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, situation was even more serious when young people were even mobilizing voluntary groups in order to deliver oxygen concentrators and medicines to hospitals, or to deliver COVID-19 patients to medical stations. And in the most cases, they were not equipped with the basic protection kits. So the lack of, in sometimes the governmental and policy abilities to counter COVID-19 pandemic have put young people in Tajikistan and other Central Asian countries on the front line of this unprecedented battle. So speaking about our assessment, the main results that we highlighted is that approximately 25% of the interviewees said that there are problems with the new education form, but slightly more than 20% of respondents talked about their problems which can be classified as psychological disorders. In this block, we separated the true tracks. Few young people notice anxiety about their current situation, which is reflected in the atmosphere of the media and their families, while the vast majority of the interviewees pointed out that their psychological problems indicate that they feel indifferent due to too much leisure time and lack of self-conscious skills. So, but interestingly, that those interviews who stated that lockdown opens up new opportunities for them due to the availability of free time and ability to use it for new and all hobbies, such as painting, music lessons, having access to online information. So no doubt they didn't encounter the above mentioned psychological problems because they are undoubtedly more independent than their peers in daily life. But the same interviews didn't point out that the problem of distance learning was a part of the negative consequences of COVID-19, which is obviously due to their ability to obtain information and knowledge through the online platforms. But it's also worth to know that these young people who actively use the internet and online platforms as a source of self-education increase criticisms of people who are dissatisfied with online education in state schools and universities have also increased and become even more specific. In particular, some survey participants stated that teachers were not simply prepared for this type of interaction with students. However, due to the negative impact of COVID-19, the proportion of young people who reported that their financial situation is good is still very low. We link this or explain it by the continued dependence of people in this age group on their parents. One of the circumstantial evidence supporting the reasoning is the fact that most of respondents who mentioned the reduction in income were 18 years old and mainly referring to part-time jobs in the summer, which are now is not the which are now not available. So, for instance, the same thing was also with the graduates between 22 and 23 years old that faced the same problems after graduation with impossibility to accept pre-diploma jobs and further employment. And in general, the absence of part-time opportunities and layoffs in the traditional student employment department, which also led to their financial cut. I will move to more focusedly to situation in Tajikistan, where participant responses from, because I mean in Tajikistan there are almost 8,000 COVID-19 cases, which is not such big like for instance in Kyrgyzstan or in Kazakhstan, where it's almost 100,000 cases. But participants also indicated that the negative context caused by the pandemic is likely to be the result of the insufficient policy attention to residents and their development. And it seemed that the efforts in education, healthcare, access to modern communication technologies were failed to meet these policy goals. But despite the fact that the exception of boys and girls over the age of 25, about half of all, yeah, sorry. Did I miss my timeline? Already?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay then.
No, you can conclude it within a few seconds.
Okay. So what I want to conclude that even in Tajikistan, which is now experiencing the crisis of power supply due to the hydration power, I mean, young people from remote and rural areas are experiencing much more problems with the lack of internet or online education, which makes them left behind of all efforts of international organizations or governments. So I will be able to share the link for this assessment if anybody is interested, so you will see the whole picture more clearly. So I don't want just to, you know, violate the time regulations, but thank you for letting me yes, to join.
Thank you, Arina. So again, we have stories from Asia coming up. So I will continue with our previous speaker, but a quick rule here, you know, everyone, we have a lot of stories, so we can use the chat panel as well. If something, you know, we want to add, something we want to share, please take advantage. So after 4 minutes, I'll having this copy with this diary showing like this. So that basically means you'll have a minute to continue. So I'll request again Bisma, which we have, who we have lost before because of the internet connection. So please continue again from Pakistan.
Thank you so much. Apologies for the disconnection earlier. So as I mentioned earlier that we have more than 6,000 death rate here and millions of people are infected. According to the impact that this pandemic crisis has left over the youth, I would say one of the very worst impacts has been psychological impact. As Mr. Pandey earlier shared his experience from Nepal, there is a surge in the suicide rate. So similar is the case here, that there are many families due to economic conditions who are resorting to suicide attempts and all. Other than that, when it comes to students particularly who are facing many problems in psychological, economic, social and cultural contexts, they are facing issues, logistic issues like internet connection or the distance learning, that the threats it is resorting to threats such like household, the balance of work, and it is something stress, because we have now time that exams has been started, and these exams are actually challenging in a way that we have very limited time, and we aren't very much sure about what the results of internet connection or electricity breakdowns and all. Other than that, there is a loss of jobs, economic jobs, since many of the young youth here, we do freelancing, whether it's through writing and daily wagers especially. They feel very much disconnected to the world. The socialization has been halted altogether. And politically, if we see, since much of our time is spent on social media, in the houses, in self-isolation, we resort to charged political environment where we just are too much aggressive, or we can say too much reactive to the policies if they do not fall into proper line or proper track. Other than that, when it comes to cultural stereotypes, this is very challenging and sensitive situation for women especially, because earlier when they were going out for studies for working purpose, they had this escapism, or you can say they had the balance of work and life. But now they have more household work, and other than that they have to resort to things like they have to do work from home, and managing both things are too much challenging for the women here, especially the thing for women is little difficult. And when it comes to other psychological issues, like we are losing our family members due to death, due to disease, and it's not easy to cope up with all this thing simultaneously. Since in Pakistan there is a culture of joint families and large families, so again self isolating here is little bit difficult for people living in larger families and joint families. Other than that, if we come to social social scenario here, that due to less connectivity, children, if we see them, they are getting aggressive, they are resorting to stubborn reactions. And coming forward the government response, these are individual impacts that all of us are going through all around the world. When it comes to government handling, I would say Pakistan's government has been quite positive in this regard. Like we had very much good center province independence as well as coordination. Like all the provinces that had the hotspots of these cases, the more surge into the cases, those provinces were very much independent to carry out their own things. And other than that, they had a similar connection with the federal government. And apart from that, one of the very good feature that Pakistan government has been praised for is the implementation of smart lockdowns in the areas that are so much more, sensitive towards COVID cases. So the smart lockdowns have been going very effectively, and we have so much less, cases in the corona. Free online classes has been started. Online education is initiated. Like we have some very much infrastructural issues, like in the far-flung areas there are no internet connection, but still HEC and government alike have started this initiative to facilitate students, especially from the last semesters and final years, so they can continue their things and have their degree on time. Other than that, social action projects recently, with the collaboration of United Nations Development Program, we have started this program to initiate social action projects through youth who want to work for the betterment of society, and they can actually help the communities cope up with this, how they can go ahead with their socio-economic problems and psychological problems as well. Government has also given incentives in different sectors, like construction sector was the very first where incentives were given and the work was started with following SOPs. Economic stimulus packages have been started, and relaxation and government subsidy in all these things have been given. If we come forward to way forward, like the last thing, that what could be other things that we can do in this regard, with whether globally or nationally. uh, One of the major things personally that I have felt I would need, and my colleagues from the same age group would need, would be the counseling, because psychologically we have been too much, affected in this crisis, and we need counseling in a way that it should be e-counseling. Someone should hear our views being a youth, that what we are facing. And the
I would
regularization
like
of
to
digital
request you to conclude now,
platforms
please.
and ensuring women empowerment, like women are facing domestic violence and all, so it should be reduced. uh, it's time.
Yes,
No.
it's 5 minutes over.
All right, thank you so much, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing from the Pakistan. So we actually have so many other participants as well from Europe, Africa, and other Asian countries. I have a request from our friend from Uganda, Kimera Samson, who is online, and in his area the power cut just happened, so he could not continue. If we do not have him now, because his battery is draining. So I would like to request Kemera Samson from Uganda to share your story in strictly 5 minutes, please. I'm not sure if he is here or not, because he mentioned in private chat. Are you there, Kemera?
Suran,
Yes,
if
please.
he's not present, I'm his counterpart from Uganda. I could stand in for him.
Please.
That's fine with you. Is that fine?
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead and introduce your
Okay,
name.
thank you so much. Okay, so my name is Josephine Gladys Nantege. I am the national representative for NIEN under VSO, and I am Samson's counterpart. Yeah. And the topic of discussion today is to discuss the impact of COVID-19 on youth development and achieving SDGs. Currently in Uganda, we have 1,332 confirmed cases of coronavirus. However, we are having less than 10 deaths, which is quite surprising. From the current statistics, we have 9 people who have died from coronavirus. However, it has greatly impacted our youth life because small, medium enterprises have been all affected because there is no funding, there is no capital. People have been in lockdown for 3 months. There is a lot of unemployment. Very many contracts were cut off before due time. So very many youths are home seated doing nothing, and that has led to a decline in mental health. Very many youths are facing a challenge of mental health because they're not working. They can't afford a life for themselves, and that has caused a lot of domestic violence in homes, especially waiting them on pressure to provide, and they can't provide. Most of the families have moved from towns to villages, so the situation is not really so good. And in many rural areas, there are very many early marriages. Young children have been married off because their families can't provide, or they've been married off so that they can get a little dowry to sustain the whole family. So there is a lot of teenage pregnancies all around. And there is a campaign by youth to really curb these teenage pregnancies. And then there is no education at all schools are still closed, all institutions are still closed, children are home, and the government has tried to use social media, televisions to have these children study, but it's not possible, especially in areas where electricity is not really accessible, where these children do not have the gadgets to learn. And then apart from coronavirus, there is an increased rise in other illnesses like malaria and very many other illnesses and related deaths to such illnesses. For example, people with sickle cells are facing a hard time. People with HIV and AIDS are facing a hard time to access medical care because the situation is so dire. Like all attention is being put to the COVID response, and these people are facing it really hard. And then increased poverty because of unemployment, because of collapse of small medium enterprises, because of shutting down of contracts. So really, it's not good. And then the ICS program was temporarily shut down for 3 months because of the coronavirus, and also all other VSO or voluntary service volunteers were taken back abroad to their countries. So that also affected a lot of development work that was going on in Uganda. So the response, VSO under ICS under VSO is doing the following to respond to COVID-19. As ICS alumni, we are doing radio talk shows and road drives to sensitize the masses about coronavirus and how they can protect themselves. We, the youth, are blogging. We are writing about all issues related to COVID-19, blogging about mental health awareness, blogging about domestic violence, blogging about safety measures, and all those other things. And we are also having online engagements on platforms like Zoom. We've recently had one where ICS alumni discussed about the impact of COVID-19 on employee contracts. And then still under VSO stroke ICS, we are trying to boost the economic standing of all people who have been affected in these rural areas. For example, the communities are being skilled on liquid soap making, that is in the northern region of my country, then shoe making in western region, backyard farming in the northern region. And then still
Josephine, I
ICS
would like to
alumni have
request you
also
to
done.
conclude now, please.
All right, thank you so much. I'll share with you the presentation.
Please do. Thank you so much. So I don't want to be very brutal timekeeper here, but you see, we have a list of people, and again, if we do not act like this, by the end, like there will be only few people attending. So as of now, it's 160 participants in June, and again, it's live on Facebook. Thank you so much, and I apologize. So let's see which country and our participants can do it within 4 minutes or 5 minutes. So our next speaker here is Mere Beek from the Netherlands.
Hey everyone. So this is Mira from the Netherlands. I didn't expect Europe to be now. So I'm really happy to be part of this presentation, of course. So my name is Mira and I live in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. It's like a tiny country of 16 million people in Europe. It's one of the smallest countries. And I'm also a researcher now for restless development. And we're doing a research on the COVID-19 crisis impact on youth civil society. So I'm really happy to share something about how we are experiencing the COVID-19 crisis in the Netherlands. So when it's about the cases, just to have an idea, we have about, I would say 40,000 cases of people that are diagnosed with coronavirus, and we have about 6,000 people that died. So actually the situation in the Netherlands it was pretty bad because, as you can imagine, we have such a small country. So many people are actually living in cities together. So the chance that you will get this virus from someone else, it's pretty likely. Then at the same time, the Netherlands decided to have a policy of an intelligent lockdown. So it actually means that we didn't have a full lockdown. We never had. We just had certain things that were canceled. And then when you look at the impact of this corona crisis on the youth, what you see is in the beginning, most attention was paid, maybe obviously on the old population of people, to protect them, to protect the vulnerable old people. But when we were moving a few months into the corona crisis, our prime minister really realized that the youth was forgotten a little bit. Because what we have in the Netherlands, and we already had it years before the corona crisis hit, is something that we call a poisonous cocktail that is experienced by the youth, which basically means that we have high study loans, we have flexible jobs, we have an impossible housing market in the Netherlands, which is really, really stressful for the youth because we don't really have a lot of possibilities to start our professional career without having this very high study debt. Because of the labor market problems, this corona crisis was really detrimental because a lot of young people, they lost their jobs, and I really connected to some of the previous speakers. A lot of the jobs that youth could always fall back on, they were the ones that were canceled immediately. Well, for most people, they really had this already full-time job with like a secured position, and they didn't really feel these economical consequences. And I also really recognize the fact that the corona crisis has been super difficult for the mental health of young people. And we're also seeing this in the Netherlands, and this wasn't recognized, and it's now starting to be recognized, but now we are already 5 months in. So what I found really an interesting and positive example of a youth initiative is by our biggest youth network. It's about 40 organizations, youth organizations in the Netherlands. And after a few months into the corona crisis, they really started to lobby in the political field and on social media. And they requested already before, but now it's becoming so relevant, they requested a generational interest law. And it basically means that there should be a law that is always paying attention to the generational interest of all generations, but also, of course, the one of the youth that was forgotten a little bit because we're always seen as so resilient. And because we have a strong social support network system in the Netherlands, which is really true, like you can request social support, which is 1,000 euros per month from the government when you lose your job. But still, to keep our economical situation, 1 minute, stop it, yeah. To keep our economical system like healthy and working, like the youth should be really included in thinking with the policymakers about ways to really, continue, because there are so many ways. And yeah, the youth can be so powerful because now a lot of articles are saying the youth is paying the corona bill, which in the Netherlands is going to be true. So I felt this was a really nice way to, go forward. So this is just a small presentation from the Netherlands, and thank you so much for including our country.
Thank you, Mary. So exactly on time. So I would also like to inspire other participants to follow this time trend. So we have a next speaker from India, Dr. Sarda Prasad Mohapatra.
Well, am I audible, Deepakji? Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So myself, Dr. Sarada Mohapatra, I'm a researcher and academician from state Odisha. My college name is Singh Chaudhary Autonomous College, Jajpur, Odisha, from India. So namaste to everybody. Jai Jagannath. So my previous speakers have already highlighted some of the problems on this coronavirus and COVID-19, how their countries are affected. So in our country, being a populous country, we are facing a lot of problems initially. Due to the able leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, in a certain way we are to control the situation. But let me first apprise you what is the condition here in India. We have presently a cases of about 24 lakh cases, positive cases, but out of that, around has been recovered. That is a very nice initiative. At about 70%, that is about 17 lakh, have been recovered, and active cases already about 6.5 lakh, and death is about 47,000, which is almost 1.95% of the total active cases. But this number is, as we are in this peak month in August, these cases have been rising, and we are hoping a better situation to be in the next month. So let me highlight some of the problems which are associated with this coronavirus, and I will put forward some solutions. And I assure you, Narenji, I will complete within 5 minutes. Right? Okay. Now let me start with a definition of young people. How young people are being defined. I can say young people are unstoppable, indomitable, and indefatigable. Youth has the power to lead, change, and create a future that we would want to see. But I'm sorry to say that now the whole planet is under a repair mode. We are a whole planet is in repair mode because every activity, starting from academic, political, economic, social, all are in a standstill. But we have to be step forward to overcome such situation. In India, technology, with the help of technology, our students, our academia, our youth, our politicians, our economists, they are in touch with various organizations, and also with the touch with various state machineries to have a watch on this coronavirus. But being a researcher, I'm happy to a little bit because due to this lockdown, shutdown, and this quarantine methods, the nature has regains its original shape. Our ozone hull is being repaired, but still our planet needs to be vaccinated fully, not only with only chemical vaccination, but it's politically, economically, socially, and also academically. But if we, I point out to the youth sector where the youth are being much affected because youths are always energetic. They are always in a movement. But due to this coronavirus, their movement has been stopped. They are in the zero acceleration stage. But what our Prime Minister has done initially, he take a very bold step to bring back all the youth were present over different countries and our neighboring countries also. They bring back to our country. Not only bring back to our country, and he, along with our finance minister, has also planned certain budgets and to provide them certain opportunity to work for our country. And they are differently in the state. They have certain activities to be carried on so that they will not feel alone. And as the madam has said that, previous speaker said that the suicidal cases have been increased in during this coronavirus. Yes, being a researcher, I have conducted almost 27 webinars on this, including the whole world. And the same thing is that all are feeling alone and feeling very difficult to maintain this paradigm shift of from a standstill activity based to a standstill. But as these viruses are, we are facing this coronavirus, we have to be acquainted with this and to hope for the best. But coming to the agriculture sector, where our Honorable Prime Minister has always given importance that agriculture sector should be carried on. So he has maintained a certain budget and certain plans. But I again assure you that those plans should be carried out by the youth. Only the plans are made by the politicians, the academic administrations, but the plans will be converted to action by the youth. I can cite a small example here with the kind permission. Our youth journalists who are working day and night to report about these happenings, where the control measures taking there. Those journalists, youth journalists, are helping some families where their neighbor has refused to touch because of some of the deaths due to coronavirus. Those journalists, being a youth, being a spirited youth, they have helped those families for the cremation of their body and their kith and kin. So this is the
Dr.
example.
Sarda, I would like to request you to conclude now, please.
Okay, thank you. So in this way, as we are in this situation, so we should hope for the best, and we will surely get out of this coronavirus. Thank you very much. This is from my side.
Thank you so much. So again, coming back from Europe to Asia, so I would like to request Ms. Gejung Bhuti from Bhutan to share your experience.
Hi everyone, I'm Kejo. I'm a UNV working with Youth and Communications team at UNICEF in Bhutan. I will not be putting on my video because the network is very unstable. As of this morning, we have about 128 cases of COVID-19 in the country. And for Bhutan, with a population of about 770,000, even 120 cases is quite a lot for us. We are under a nationwide lockdown with effect from 11th August due to potential cases of community transmission. Schools and institutes have been closed since March, and 10th and 12th graders who had resumed school only a few weeks ago are now also at home due to the lockdown. So because of this, more than 170,000 children are affected due to the school closure. Out of these 170,000 children, 32,000 students across the country have limited or no access to internet and TV. So because of this, a lot of young people are moving to urban areas to live with their relatives for better connectivity and access to online classes. So because of this displacement, they are also vulnerable to violence and exploitation and other things. Because of the closure of schools, about 200 children have dropped out from school, and this is only 10th and 12th graders. They're facing a lot of stress, depression, and they're also committing suicide. For about 10,000 students, the closure of schools also means that they're missing out on nutritious meals that are provided in schools. As an immediate response for young people, the government, for young people and Bhutanese people who are living abroad, the government set up repatriation flights with free quarantine facilities and meals at these quarantine centers. The government also set up e-learning for all grades on national television. And for those without access to internet and TV, UNICEF Bhutan partnered with the government to distribute self-instructional manuals. Hotlines were also set up for COVID-19 related queries. There's also been a lot of focus on agriculture. So all of us were encouraged to have our own kitchen gardens, or for those who are unemployed, especially in the tourism and hospitality sector, they were encouraged to grow their own vegetables. Also as a means for earning. The Education Ministry also set up a psychosocial support for young people with counselors. So because young people are facing a lot of stress and a lot of depression at this time, they are put in contact with counselors. Reduced data packages were also introduced. There's also a project called Build Bhutan Project that was initiated due to COVID-19 to address unemployment. So many young people who were unemployed even before the pandemic are now gaining a lot of different skills, and they are pretty much employed. For people in the tourism and hospitality and entertainment centers, a royal kidu was set up, which is like a stipend. So every month from this royal stipend, even if they are unemployed, they are being given an allowance so that they're able to live through the pandemic. Okay, I will be quick. And young people themselves are also initiating their own projects. They're volunteering as civil volunteers, and they're also going into their own communities, teaching children who do not have access to internet and TV. As for UNICEF, before the lockdown, we were advocating for the reopening of schools, which is not possible at this time. We were making sure that immunization and vaccines are not disrupted. We have been constructing a lot of, supporting a lot of hand washing stations in schools and in public areas. We've also been doing a lot of online campaigns for young people, and we're also partnering with young people to be advocates themselves and to bring change. That is all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So without further delay, I'm moving to Africa again. We have a friend from Kenya, Mary Dirbutu.
Thank you so much, Suran. So my name is Mary, and I'm from Kenya. I'm sitting in Nairobi. And I think before I share, it's just to say that it sounds like, you know, many of the presenters representing what is going on around the world and how that is affecting young people. I think it's the same across the globe. I'll not repeat some of the things that have been said in terms of mental issue, in terms of loss of job, but I'll speak a bit around, I think one of the key problems we have here in Kenya is mismanagement of resources, leading to a lot of corruption, because, you know, despite that we are going through COVID-19, there is a pandemic, there's still a lot of corruption going around and mismanagement of the resources. And I would say a lot of young people have come out here in Kenya to, you know, call for action, to demonstrate. And that has also led to a lot of, you know, brutality. There's a lot of young people who are being beaten on the street during demonstration, and even further risking their health in terms of exposure to COVID-19. We have a lot of income loss, and, you know, a lot of young people have lost their income. And that has also led to a lot of insecurity because, you know, people have to earn a living, people have to, you know, have basic food for their day-to-day lives. So, you know, that has also been a problem. And I think the other problem here we have is in terms of teenage pregnancy. Since COVID-19 was announced here in Kenya, schools were closed. And that means that many, you know, teenagers or children or universities, they were closed, and many of them are back at home. And this has really caused an increase in teenage pregnancies for young girls. And, you know, despite that here in Kenya, you know, the government has tried to open up accessibility to internet. It's not well equalized between the urban sectors and the rural sectors. So that means that there's an increase of inequality between, you know, people living in the urban and in the rural areas, such that despite that we are saying that there is a bit of online education going on, it's not well accessible to those people who are living in the rural areas. And that is just increasing more and more the inequality gap. I think the other thing I'll mention here in Kenya is that many young people rely on, you know, entertainment. We have a lot of young people who are in the entertainment industry. And here in Kenya, since COVID-19 started, there was a shutdown of restaurants, of bars, tourist attraction centers. And that meant that many young people have lost their jobs, but as well as, you know, many young people have been forced to stay indoors, which is, you know, sometimes entertainment is the place where young people go out there and socialize. So of course, that has also led to an increase of mental health issues, because if you cannot go out there and sort of release the, you know, the pressure, you don't have the money, that is also increasing that. I'll just talk a bit about some of the way forward. Apart from the fact that we are trying as much as possible to, you know, call for the government to make sure that despite that, you know, we have COVID-19, reallocation of resources to the right institutions, and making sure that mismanagement of resources is, you know, looked into. we've had a bit of, support from the government in terms of giving more finances to the art institutions, making sure that young people who rely on art, they're getting a bit of support. But again, going back to my statement around how much support is going to the urban, young people who are living in the urban and young people who are living in the rural areas is still low. Again, there's a lot of local food drives. There's a lot of young people actually who've come out to fundraise for their own community. And I think that is a strength that, young people have, that, young people are coming in large numbers to fundraise for their own families, for their own communities. And I think after COVID, we should definitely make sure we document the amazing work that young people are doing that normally we do not talk about. I think the other thing that is on the rise is also that young people are very good with online tools. And here in Kenya, there's a lot of online business that is on the rise. There's a lot of young people who are running online entertainment, online businesses, transactions going on online where you don't have to meet physically. So I think that's also something that has really shown the good skills that young people have. I think another thing that has, sort of supported some of the things that young people are doing is that, in Kenya, we have a lot of online transaction. We have a lot of mobile banking. And in the beginning, the government scrapped off, the fee that you're charged when you do on mobile transaction. And the fact that you don't have to pay that mobile transaction fee has increased the transaction of money online and also, increased the accessibility of online businesses that is going on. So I think I'll stop there because I think my time is running out, but really happy to listen to everyone and see what people are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much. So just after seeing video, I realized that I met you already, Mary. Before VSO, I was working for sNED. But I just realized after seeing the video, it's the power of internet, power of Zoom. These. So thank you once again. So again, moving forward, I would like to request Kasturi Gunasegaram from Singapore.
Hi everyone. Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's written Mr. I'm sorry.
Miss. Yeah. Okay. Hi. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, please.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, hi, I'm Kasturi. I'm from Singapore, and I'm an educationist as well as yoga instructor and a humanitarian. And I have my own blog called Gems Unearthed, whereby I feature ordinary people with extraordinary humanity. Okay, so talking about COVID-19 in Singapore, I would like to share how strong partnership between the government, people, and organization actually is very, very necessary to tackle such an issue very effectively. So this can actually help many countries out there, the youths in many countries, to call for action within their government or their organization. So especially this was demonstrated during COVID-19. So as we all know, Singapore was actually the third country to report cases of COVID-19. Which had recorded many, many infections, the highest outside Chinese mainland actually. So right now, Singapore is very successful in managing and controlling the virus from becoming a very large scale crisis, which is a very good thing that we can learn from, I suppose. Yeah, so the approach Singaporeans' approach has been prevention, contact tracing, quarantine, and access to information. So these are, just one of the reasons the government has been commended internationally, actually. So it's all about the communication with the organization and with its people. So basically, strong, clear, and concise direction from the government was very helpful. So basically it's like all the Singapore government agencies provided like advice, support, and updates on the coronavirus regularly, and there are various applications actually online to ensure citizens. You're okay? Is everything okay?
Yes, please continue.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So to ensure that the citizens were supported and informed clearly, and they were digitally updated as well. So they had the ministries actually pulled together to keep the nation working through various digital initiatives throughout this pandemic from the very start. So they can subscribe to many WhatsApp updates from the Ministry of Health, and then they also found up-to-date information on the ministry's website. So it was actually specially dedicated to COVID-19, actually, to give very transparent information about each and every confirmed cases. And it also shared about the age, the occupation, the gender, those who are tested positive. So, you know, it also revealed where they have actually traveled recently and where did they seek medical help and everything. So, and then surgical masks were also suddenly sold out in a very short space of time, and the government, you know, made sure that they see into that matter as well. So, and then there were also like it launched a chat bot actually to aid employers to stay updated on the news of the following COVID-19 virus as well. So it's basically the employers are able to find more information, such as like to be able to help them being available to them, and also to ensure business continuity in uncertain times like that. So that was like an SG Clean campaign was also launched, where all Singaporeans should adopt good personal and environmental hygiene habits. So it also calls on organizations to adhere to this hygiene checklist, but authorities especially. So they made sure they did all this because checkings were going on every now and then. And it also involved Singapore's strategy of like involving multiple lines of defense. And how it happened was like Singapore's strategy to guard against like the slow the spread, whereby they described as we call it as like multiple lines of defense. So it came into play at various stages, from detecting cases before or during entry to Singapore, so containing suspect cases, to ensuring everyone is informed, updated, and prepared to do what is right in protecting themselves and the country against COVID-19, and to help the country moving forward as well. So in this pandemic, I would say the most affected, of course, people are the youth, especially the social distancing, the physical distancing had a huge impact on these youths, especially the university and the post-secondary students, as we all have discussed, many of us have discussed. So I would also like to emphasize on...
I would like to request you to conclude, please.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so the measures, the government and the institutional measures in response to COVID-19 by the government really helped ease the stress of COVID-19. So there was a lot of support, like a lot of budget support package that the government announced to help this stress period. So basically, our Prime Minister addressed that even stronger and better Singapore will emerge from this crisis. So, you know, the government has programs and plans to cope with the challenges that we are about to face, like creating new jobs for the economy, and lots and lots of you know, skills are being introduced to the employees for them to upgrade themselves so that they're able to look for better jobs in coming days. Yeah, that's all. Thank you so much, and it's been great hearing from everyone.
Thank you so much, Kasturi. So again, I'm moving forward. We now have Cynthia Rahmi from Indonesia.
Thank you and good afternoon from Jakarta, Indonesia. So Indonesia have a big population, 268 million, and until today there's 132,816 people confirmed with COVID, and 500, almost 6,000 passed away because of the COVID. So of course, it's actually not the correct number, because there are so many people out there, people without symptoms. So in Indonesia, even though the situation is like that, our government didn't implement the lockdown. So instead of doing the lockdown in Indonesia, we call it the large-scale social restriction. So the government have a few ways to respond to the COVID, and one of the way is a mass movement where everyone need to wear mask in a public area. Because of that, there's a period of time that we cannot find the mask easily. Even the doctor and the nurse work in the hospital, they cannot have the mask. Many people also looking for it, until the mask price at that time is almost 10 times the price of the normal price. So because of that, we mobilize the young people that time to do the campaign, the social campaign, to do the crowdfunding, so that we can buy a mask for the doctor in the hospital. And that time is quite successful. Not only the young people do that at that time, but also many people from like artists, singer, they even have a concert to do the crowdfunding, so that they can help the doctor and the people working in the hospital. And not only the mass movement, our government also implement the tracing and also the rapid test, because we didn't do the lockdown. And also the government educate everyone to do the self-isolation, because our hospital facility maybe cannot how to say cannot have many people. That's why the government educate many people to do the self-isolation. And because of this COVID, actually there are so many problem arise, like everyone also mentioning about the psychological and the mental health of the young people. So for me, I work with the Global Peace Foundation Indonesia. We have the program so that we partnership with the psychologists, so that the young people who feels that they have the anxiety and they have a mental problem, they can talk to the psychologist. And then there are actually many applications provided, that when they feels that they have a mental problem, they can download that application, or they can contact the psychologist. So not only that, now the very hot issues in Indonesia is about the education, because there's so many shortcoming of having the online education. Like last time the how to say, the system from, I cannot remember where, is actually different between a rural and urban, where the people in the rural area is not that easy to access to the online learning. And not only that, actually, because Indonesia is so big, not all the area have a good internet connection, and also there's so many people actually don't even have the handphone to do the online learning. That's why it's one of the problem in Indonesia now. And because of that, we initiate, instead of having the seminar like this, the using Zoom, we have a WhatsApp group learning. So every week we have a different topics, and everyone can join the WhatsApp group. And
Cynthia,
about
I would like to request you to conclude, please.
Okay, yeah, and about the people who lost the job, especially for the youth, the government have the initiative to give them the allowance. Not only that, but we have a pre-work card. So the young people, the people who lost their job, can get this pre-work card, and then they can go to the application and online, and they can study, they can learn about many skills there. So I think that's all from Indonesia. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. So I'm also reviewing the chats here. So of course, a lot of people are introducing ourselves. So we are already in between. So I would rather request everyone to ask any questions to speakers rather than introducing yourself at this moment, please. And also that way we will have less time in Q&A session at the end. So I'm moving forward to Africa again. So Happy More Chibura from Zimbabwe is here.
Thank you, Suran. It's my pleasure to be here representing Zimbabwe. So I will just speak on some of the pointers that have not been mentioned by colleagues who have spoken already. I would like to tackle this from an approach whereby I'm looking at the opportunities that have been presented in our own country with the pandemic, and at the same time, the problems that we are encountering in the country. So the first thing that I would just like to mention is that in my country, the pandemic is politicized. So it is more of a political problem rather than a public health problem. You would see that we have experienced a lot of human rights violations, human rights defenders being abducted, journalists exposing acts of corruption that are happening during this pandemic, also being taken by the police and the military. As we speak, our roads are manned not only by the Zimbabwe Republic Police, but they are also being manned by the Zimbabwe National Army, which has even increased the dangers that the public are experiencing. So in response to the pandemic, the government of Zimbabwe in March first declared a national lockdown, which was followed by successive lockdowns, and which were then finally, the government finally then said that the lockdown would be in place for an indefinite period, which is not known as to when it will end. By the time that the lockdowns were instituted as a measure to contain the spread of the virus, by then we had very few cases, but at the present moment, the number of cases that we have in the country stands at 4,818, with 1,544 that have recovered and 104 deaths. But unfortunately, you'd find that in as much as the government is putting these measures in place, they are not prudent enough in addressing the plight of the people, considering the nature of our economy, as we actually have a struggling economy at the moment. Many of our young people, and in fact, the majority of our citizens, employed in the informal sector, which we normally call the gig economy. So they rely on hand to mouth. That means that if they do not go to work for a certain day, it means that in that evening or that day they do not have anything to put on the table to sustain the family. So this is one of the major problems that we are experiencing. Many of our young people are not formally employed, and in fact, also women are not formally employed, which also now makes it difficult for us as a country to be, reaching or meeting the sustainable development goal that focuses on decent work and economic growth. Now, apart from issues of employment, we are also experiencing in some parts of the country, serious problems to do with hunger. We, as Action Aid, I represent Action Aid as the global platform Zimbabwe coordinator there. as ActionAid, we have been responding to some of the cases, some of these challenges by working hand in glove with the World Food Program, distributing food items to some of the areas. But this support is not enough considering the current situation. Then looking at education, education has been one of the biggest problems. I would say that as we speak, the academic calendar for the country has actually been suspended up until 2021, which has actually seen most students since March not going to school. Only those that were writing their final examinations at the university were able to do so, but those that were in the primary and secondary schools were not able to do so. This is even made worse by the fact that we have serious problems when it comes to network access, considering that most schools are trying to move to the online space using e-learning platforms to conduct lessons. We have realized that those that are in the rural areas, considering that a significant part of the country, we have the majority of our students in the rural areas are not able to access these online platforms. Why? Number one, they do not have access to the devices that will allow them to connect to educational platforms. Number two, they do not even have the internet access. The network will be there, but the internet must actually be intermittent. So there is no to low internet access in most parts of the country. To those that do have access, the problem of data.
I'd like to request you to conclude, please.
That's okay. The problem of data is a very big challenge because data cost is very exorbitant in this in our country. So these are some of the challenges that we have been facing, and of course, I have alluded to some of the responses that we have done as a country office in line with addressing food shortages. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Soran. Back to you.
Thank you so much. So we have few more from Asia and one from Europe and few from Africa. So let's move to Asia again. We have Dr. Suthai from Malaysia. Are you there, Dr. Suthai? If not, we can move ahead. Dr. Jessil from the Philippines. Seems Dr. Jessie is also not here with us. Can we have Lauren from the UK? Forgive me if I pronounce your name badly.
No, it's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Oh, sorry. Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren. I'm a student here in Edinburgh, Scotland, and I carried out research with Mira for the Europe region as part of a Restless Development Red Career project to understand how COVID was impacting young people. And I'm going to talk about the experiences of living in the UK during this time. So as I'm assuming loads of people know, the UK's record with COVID has been quite bad. In total, we have 314,000 confirmed cases and over 41,000 deaths. I, however, live in Scotland, and what happens in the UK is that it's a combination of like 4 countries. So it's England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, and the majority of these confirmed cases are occurring in England. So in Scotland, we have less than 20,000 confirmed cases and something just over 2,000 deaths. And it's similar in the other smaller countries. So Wales has something like 18,000, Northern Ireland has something like 6,000. So I, fortunately, am not in the epicenter of this problem. Lucky thing about the UK is that we do have free healthcare. So everyone can access the NHS. That being said, the NHS has been historically underfunded for the last decade because of all kinds of political pressures and stories. And now we're noticing the problem of this lack of resource as people are flooding hospitals trying to be tested because they're scared or needing to be tested because they're showing symptoms and they're sick. I'm trying not to repeat everything that's been said, which is a bit hard, but of course the issues of education, transition to online school, healthcare, stress, mental health all happening here. And the Scottish government, I think, has been doing a good thing about trying to engage us and take care of us during this time. So 2 interesting examples I like are that in Scotland, if you are below a certain income level, at school, you're given free school meals. So you receive like a snack breakfast-like thing and a lunch at school. And when schools closed, of course, those children were still going to be underfed, in that the understanding is that their parents can't afford to feed them. That's why they require these free meals. So the government was shipping food to these households. So if you were a child who was registered for free state meals at school, your meals were still brought to your home. Another interesting example is just the mobilization of youth services online. So we, of course, have been, I don't know if anyone remembered this happened, but in February, Brexit finally finished the whole process. Brexit has been happening since 2016. It's an interesting, confusing political situation, and that is going to cost the UK a lot of money. And I personally don't support it for a whole range of reasons. And Scotland in general did not vote to leave the EU. But having that issue in play, when the EU announced a massive stimulus package of something like 750 billion euros, the UK was excluded from that as we left the EU like 2 months, 3 months before those discussions began. So though we expect a massive stimulus happen in Europe, the economy in the UK is expected to contract by something like 30 to 45% in the next year. And so that means a lot of jobs are being lost. Healthcare, restaurants, all these jobs that young people take on. Where I live in Edinburgh, we have a Fringe Festival, and it's been happening for over 70 years. And it's like the largest creative arts festival in the world. And the city right now is meant to be crazy loud and crazy busy and crazy packed, but it's totally empty because this festival is cancelled. And an annual 70-year festival being cancelled is a shockingly big deal, but a necessary thing, because the way we mingle around and the way the city gets packed is just not COVID compliant at all. And all of that is really scary because lots of young people depend on the money that they earn during the Fringe. Because you can earn a lot of money jumping onto a restaurant job or handing out flyers or just working the ticket stands. And then we also have all the landlords who make a lot of money by increasing like hotel prices and Airbnb prices for tourists that come in. So as a whole, the economic structures are that people on top are losing money. And even though they try to cover those losses by charging people below them, so some landlords were asking for rent during COVID, even though people's jobs were furloughed. It just continues to carry down until the government has to keep paying and keep releasing emergency funds to hold the economy up. I have a minute left. And what we're kind of trying to do as youth society in Scotland and the UK and even Europe at large is moving online. Fortunately, most people, I don't say everyone has access to internet in Europe, that's a gross generalization, but more so than in other places, other parts of the world and countries. So moving school online has been a big thing. That being said, the Prime Minister Boris Johnson did allow schools to be opened. So we are opening up. People are allowed to go on holidays into the EU. Schools are opening, businesses are opening, and there are lots of campaigns to save money. For example, Mondays to Wednesdays, all restaurants are only charging half price. So there are all these little incentives to get people back to spending money, to get the economy back to moving, and we can only hope that they work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So of course, you see a lot of similarities and lots of, again, different contexts being shared so far. So I'll move again. Before that, I would like to ask people to put your questions in the chat box so that our speakers can simultaneously respond, or our co-host can collect some of the burning questions that we can answer at the end. So moving forward, we have Mohammed from Somaliland.
Hi everyone, it's me, Mohammed Bled, from Somaliland, and thank you so much for giving me the chance to speak at this important webinar. And first of all, I would like just to give you a brief background of how the situation of COVID-19 is here in Somaliland. And allow me first to present you this information. In Somaliland, Somaliland government has confirmed the first COVID-19 case on 31st March 2020, and as have been witnessed many other places around the world, confirmation followed by a number of government sanctions that were both imposed and put in place to discourage public gathering, and also public gathering, ban on schools, closure of schools, I mean, and also the government has also halted a number of developmental projects that were very useful for the benefits of many displaced and drought affected communities in Somaliland. So I work for local NGO called Soidafo. We have been engaged in COVID-19 response and since the confirmation of the cases in late March 2020. And we have been working with the government of Somaliland and to provide awareness raising and ensure that the number of people who were affected are also provided alternative and means of livelihood, including distribution of foods, distribution of PPE equipments, and also carrying out awareness raising in the crowded, in the overcrowded and rural areas where pastoralists and rural and villagers live. So among the challenges we are faced upon the confirmation of the COVID-19 include the healthcare challenges. The government had no any testing equipment in place when they confirmed the first case. The cases were sent to Nairobi for testing. It took like days to come back and confirm whether the people who were tested were positive or were negative. So this also made the COVID-19 cases worse, as in the country where has struggled and systematically and also in terms of financially and also economically to sustain it is revenue, because money boats in Somaliland economy heavily depends on livestock export. So the Hajj there was suspension of Hajj. They were also followed by also some other ban made by the government of Saudi Arabia, including suspension of Umrah and so many other things. So the livestock export ban have also meant to have also had its own negative share to Somaliland. So as civil society organizations, our role was to ensure that people who were mainly depend on aid and also government contributions, and including the government, including teachers who worked for the government, and also teachers who worked for also for the private schools, are provided alternative means of livelihoods. So as for the youth, most of the challenge of COVID-19 lockdown was faced by the young people, especially girls. And the government closure of schools has increased early marriage, rape, GBV, and teenage pregnancy, and other sexual exploitation as well, including gender-based violence and domestic abuse, and also. Additionally, the biggest number of young girls, it's also reported that they undergone to FGM circumcision during the COVID-19 lockdown. Health workers have also raised concerns of requests coming from parents to do circumcision for their young girls. FGM prevalence rate is estimated to be around 98% here in Somaliland. Girls were already vulnerable for FGM before COVID-19, but also what has made it worse is being stuck at home. It has also increased the chance that parents can circumcise their daughters. So as local NGOs and as youth groups, what we have done is we have organized awareness raising through social media and websites and Twitter, and also use of radios and radio messages, and as well as TV, so that we can carry out. We have also engaged with the government so that they can also do. And they are also.
Can you please conclude your speaking now? Sorry.
Yeah, thank you so much. Most of the updates are similar from from what I have been hearing from other colleagues in the other countries, and also the ones that I have also here. So I'm done with that. Thank you so much.
All right. So I'm also looking at the chat simultaneously. So there are 3 countries with the representative, which is confirmed, but I didn't receive name: Tanzania, Madagascar, and Sierra Leone. If you could put your name to me, I will allow you. And again, just after that, we will have open space for other people who really want to speak. That will be there. So I'll move ahead with one more presenter from Nepal, Sajana Sunar. 5 minutes, please.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful opportunity to share my opinion here and share experience during COVID-19. And previous speaker already mentioned all the issues during COVID-19 pandemic and its lockdown period. And currently, I'm the coordinator of self-defense campaign of Karnal province, which also leads motivational and musical therapy campaign in quarantine and isolation, and also BSO ICS volunteer under BSO. Here, I would like to share during this COVID-19 and its pandemic, we all were limited, but limited, but 86 rape and 72 domestic violence cases happened during 21 days of lockdown, which was totally unacceptable. So I was running online talk and radio broadcast campaign to raise awareness and minimize the risk of impact of COVID-19, which used to broadcast from 9 local FM radios of Karnal province of 9 different districts with the support of PSO. And like one more things happened during COVID-19 and lockdown. So many schools and places converted to quarantine and isolation, but people were running away from quarantine and isolation. Also, some of them committed suicide after returning from quarantine. So somewhere is like youth is like me, we were having free time and we thought, why not support to quarantine and isolation people through investing our talent and time. And so then we discussed in group and started motivational and musical therapy in quarantine and isolation during this isolation. And there are so many youth and volunteer youth who are running and leading campaign and different activities to minimize the risk of COVID-19 and its impact, and also stop spreading coronavirus, which is the interesting and best part. And youth are engaging in volunteering, which is the volunteering and social development sector. It is
Sajnaji, can you please unmute yourself? Sorry for that. Yeah, go ahead. You are again muted.
okay. Is it okay, sir?
Yes.
Okay, sir.
No, we missed some part. Somehow, is there any problem going on? She is mute again. Other co-host, can you please see this issue? Yes, now we are here. We can hear you.
Okay, sir. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. During this COVID-19 and its pandemic, so many local organizations, government, and like Loose Forum, youth are doing collaboration and coordinating to each other, which is the best part. However, like youth are taking action and leading the role and taking action in front line, and they are getting they are being victim of COVID-19. I am also the one of the victim of COVID-19 due to I was running campaign and in quarantine and isolation. So there is lack of safety and security to youth, especially to volunteer youth. So there is no safety and security, but youth are still encouraging to do volunteering and taking action, which is the best part. And during this lockdown and COVID pandemic, 2,280 suicide cases happened in Nepal, which is triple over than COVID death. So sad to say that among them, most of the youth are committing suicide. So my message to all energetic and youth, this is the time to act. We have got potential and we have power to make change. There is always way to fight back with pandemic situation, injustice, inequality, and any form of discrimination. So never give up, keep your voice up, and show your power up. And one more questions here I want to have. I have been volunteering for last 6 years, and 1 week ago I was just applying for volunteering position, but due to my lack of experience, I was rejected. What I want to say that it's like catch 22. We can't get job without experience, and we can't get experience without job. So it's like it's sad to not getting job with volunteering experience. So it's my question to our panelists. If somebody address these questions, I would be happy. Thank you so much to give this opportunity to share my experience and during thank you so much for this wonderful platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your sharing your stories. So of course, there are a couple of stories that Sajna is writing in Nepali newspaper, Setopati. You can also follow her. So again, about your question, I would like to ask our speakers to write your experience in the chat panel so that she can read. There are only few countries left, so I would like to request again, is there any speaker that we have from Tanzania? If people are silent, I would consider this as no. Madagascar, I'm only reading the countries, those are confirmed, but I don't have the name of the speaker. So since not here, Sierra Leone, silence speaks no.
Sierra Leone, yes. Hello.
Oh, sorry. You can go ahead for 5 minutes, please.
Okay. Good afternoon. Okay. Good morning from Sierra Leone. I'm Sulaiman Kabia. I'm working for ActionAid. I was a YOLVO volunteer. YOLVO means youth-led volunteerism in emergency response. And I think one of our strong pillar in YOLVO is in this forum, Mary. How are you? And I just want to give a brief update with what is happening in Sierra Leone. And we've recorded so far 1,937 cases, of coronavirus. We have 69 deaths. We have a recovery rate of 1,483, and we have 385 people in isolation. And since COVID hit Sierra Leone and in March, there were so many restrictions, so many government lockdown, but as latest as 2 months ago, government thought it fit because of the economic meltdown in the country, the hardship, the unemployment issues amongst and within young people. Government thought it fit to lift some of the bans, and one of which is the reopening of schools, for examination classes, because the public examinations were postponed because of the COVID, and because the time is approaching for the exams, government thought it fit to reopen all these places. And also we are under strict inter-district lockdown, and now that the number of cases are going down, government has also lifted that inter-district lockdown. The reopening of religious houses, that is both here in Israel, we have two religions predominantly, the Christianity and the Islam. So their place of worship has also been reopened. But during this period, what's more frustrating in Sierra Leone is that we've been seeing so many violence across the country, because some young people, thought it that their rights have been violated. Just like when Mary was speaking, she mentioned something about mismanagement of state resources. Some people think, their resources have been managed. So we have so many issues that crop up as a result of that. In one of the top prisons in this country, we see where, there was a riot, more than 40 inmates were killed. And in one of all the fishing communities, because we are living in the close to the Atlantic Ocean, the sea dwellers, one of their activities, fishing, and we see also a stalemate there where most of the people there lost their lives because of violence. And our police forces in Sierra Leone, they are very brutal, when it comes to young people, speaking for their rights. And also in the northern city of Makeni also, okay, thank you. And let me just explain some of the impacts or the involvement of young people in the fight of COVID. YOLVO as a project, we have our volunteers across the country. And what we've been doing, we've been studying people, we've been helping government to enforce some of the restrictions. And also presently, if I could share, I would have shared some of the photos. We have a flooding incident in one of our community, and our volunteers in YOLVO, they are actively engaging, rescuing and helping people. Thank you very much, Sulaiman from Sierra Leone.
Thank you so much, Suleiman, for being on time. So we are now completed all our speakers, confirmed speakers here. So as I said earlier as well, please put your questions and your remarks on the chat panel, and our speakers can write directly to them. I'm giving, so it's already close to 5. So being a moderator, I'm expecting a maximum of 20 minutes more that this session will go on. So I ask everyone to have patience for that time. So we will only have 5 speakers in the open floor to speak for a minute each. So let's hope to complete by 5 minutes. I have two people who are writing to me to speak. Amir from India and Nikit from Nepal, I believe. Can you please go ahead and only for a minute, and response will be written in the chat panel. 5 people altogether. Amir, Nikit, or Nikki, is it Nikit?
Good afternoon, everyone. Namaste.
Yes,
I would like
ahead.
to. Okay. Namaste. I am from Nepal, and I am actually now I am running class 12 in online class. I would like to thanks to everyone participating in this program and keep one different thought in front of us. That after that I will start my topic to in the affected recovery data and death in our country. Nepal. The first nowadays confirmed case of the COVID-19 is 24,432, and the total recovery rate of the Nepal is 16,728, and the total death nowadays till 91. The more in the Nepal, 7 provinces are available, but province 2 are more affected nowadays. We all know that. After that, our country also affected the COVID-19, which all data, and I said you previously said you, in Nepal there is no more facility of network, so many students can't be reachable in online class in the pandemic condition of the COVID-19. Many employees are lost their job, and Nepal is already poor country, so that all things cannot be possible like as other countries. Many people are affected in hunger and other situations. At the situation, I am also doing the social service in the COVID-19 period from Nepal, and when our government also done after lockdown very strictly within 2-3 days of started, many people are affected with hungry. Most of the people are affected in the hungry. That time we are distribute many food item in our side, which we have capacity. We gave after many days. Government also gave some food distributed in our society and the nation, which have more needed. At last, in my side personally, I distributed some masks and gloves to the journalist. That's why that time journalists have too much more risk to COVID-19 because she facing the most problem at journalists mostly. As journalist support, we can found many types of news related to COVID-19 and other also. So according to me, it had gone for my side to distributed in this period in my country,
Thank you
also
so much,
increase more
Niket. Well
discrimination in
done.
our society and also increase the rate of suicide. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. You've done a very impressive job. As we see in the newspaper, people are voluntarily, spontaneously doing volunteerism at this time. So thank you so much. Amir has raised his hand from India. So I think he's not here. Lakshman Bista from Bhutan. And I'll have two more and then we're done from the open floor. Yes, you're on mute. Yes, please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm Lakshman Bista from Bhutan. Professionally, I am a teacher and then I work in collaboration with Youth Development Fund in Bhutan. So I am a regional coordinator for a youth program called YVIA, Young Volunteers in Action in Bhutan. So for now, since I have limited time in my hand, I'm going to just share the confirmed COVID-19 cases, active cases, and recovered cases in Bhutan. So as of yesterday's data, we have 128 confirmed cases, and out of which 100 cases are being recovered. And for now, we have only 28 active cases with 0 death. We don't have
Lakshman, you're on mute again. Please go ahead.
Sorry. And then we are running into third day of complete lockdown in Bhutan because we had some kind of community transmission from one district called, we have 20 districts in Bhutan. And then exactly, it's not a community transmission because a woman was detected after 1 month. She actually stayed in 1 month quarantine facilities, and after that she tested negative. Then she was released from the hospital with like confirmed negative result. But later on, when again she complained about symptoms, and then when she was rechecked, she was tested positive. And then to trace trace all those primary and then secondary contact, we have been locked down for maybe around a week. So this is our third day complete lockdown in Bhutan. So this is
Lakshman, you have any message here?
Sorry, sir, I don't have. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for sharing the context, which is unfortunate that we actually want to listen that cases are decreasing everywhere. Unfortunately, we are now listening other way around. So I'll give two more people to speak for 1 minute, and then we will go to guest speakers here for 3 minutes each. Anyone who really want to speak? Otherwise, again, chat is also there. Chat box is also equally powerful because everyone can read it. Okay, Amrit Rizal, please.
Are you audible?
Yes, everyone is audible.
Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Amrit Rizal from Nepal. I would like to mostly focus on the problems in my areas. The common problem that the peoples from my community is facing is like the lack of PCR test, right? The coronavirus is spread in the community level and people are still not aware. They are taking corona very lightly and they think that corona is just a flu and it does not cause a big humorous problem. So people are taking corona very lightly and they are not aware about the consequences caused by the coronavirus. And the another problem in my society that which is very relevant, is like a depression problem and some psychological problem. People of young age, like the youths, are getting more and more psychological problem. They are getting depressed. They are having suicidal attempts. They are having sexual harassment through social medias and much more. And moreover than these problems, my community, most of the people in my community are poor. So they are facing the hunger or starvation problem. And other than hunger starvation problem, medical problems is also one of the great big deal, which is not focused by the government, neither by the local bodies. And these are the problems which my community, or commonly this is the Nepali problem. And I would like to share this problem with all of the countries. And like these problems should be considered as one of the main problems in this pandemic, and these are also to be sorted out in this pandemic time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Amrit, for your very short remarks. So with this, since I have not received any specific one more from any participants, so I will close this open floor. And since in the beginning I have acknowledged our guest here, so we have 4 valuable guest members here. I would like to request all of them to speak. So first, Sujita Matema, who is Executive Director in SNED Nepal, for your remarks for 3 minutes, please.
3 minutes, Renji. All right, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I'm so excited to be the part of this whole discussion. First of all, many congratulations to all of you for marking this International Day. And of course, the contribution that all the young people have made so far. I mean, you have highlighted everything from the volunteerism, even to response in this COVID situation. You all did a fantastic job, and you all deserve a big round of applause out there. We have been talking about education, unemployment, mental illness, whatever is it. Like, people have started talking about this is new normal. This is new normal. What is new normal? If this is a new normal, I swear to God that I'm going to be abnormal at all. Completely abnormal. If this is a new normal, and I'm not accepting it, I'm going to fight for it. No, I have to fight for it. So this new normal is not acceptable to me, right? Because one of the reasons is being negative is a trend, right? No, being positive should be the trend. You know, the mobility has been restricted. How is it possible? Just imagine the young, the most energetic people, you all have been restricted, right? So the mobility needs to be there. The future has been completely insecure. Yes, that was insecure, but at least you know that in the market, the jobs are there. The education is secured there, you know, but then it's insecure, absolutely. And the last but definitely not the least, the digitalized world that has been created. Yes, this is, of course, the incoming thing, but the digital division that is coming in with the accessibility, and those who does not have accessibility is going to create an absolutely new inequality in the world right now, right? So looking at all this, what I see the role of youth is, now the situation like this, we all know that. So let all be together and seek for the alternative. You know, what is that alternative that we need to bring in together? You know, let us all define what is the new normal now. Because if I'm saying that this new normal is not acceptable, then what is the new normal? That we all need to define it. We all need to be together to make whatever the agency, the government, or whatever, making them accountable towards the work they have committed to do. Definitely, we have to check on the prospect of the future. And as a youth, we have to minimize the dependency now. We really have to minimize the existence dependency, I would say, right? But listening every individual from last 2 hours, of course, people have shared immense powerful thing, what you have done, what you're going through and all. But at the same time, I would say that in Nepali, that right? You're also equally accountable before saying that in what kind of country I got birth, you know, but you're also equally accountable to create that scenario, right? And we always tend to say that youth are the future, you know. No, youth are not the future. Youth are the present, right now. We have to do it right now, not tomorrow. And we might do have fantastic goals, like we will do this, we will do that, but if we do not have a proper plan how to do it, then it will absolutely become only the wish list. And I definitely do not want everyone else to be here and just make a wish list and not having a proper plan, right? So somebody even wrote it there. I'll come that in last 30 seconds, I guess. You know, the young people right now in this forum, we are like almost 120 young people are here. And we have invested 2 hours, each one of us. Excuse me, I'm not by age young, but by mind, I think I still can call myself a young one. But 120 of us are here. We have invested 2 hours, and that makes almost like 8 to 10 days, right? So what is the outcome of this discussion now? We have shared the impact of around the world. What are we going to do it together? Are we coming up with something? If we are not coming up with something out because of this, if we're going to sleep only with this, then no, this is not acceptable at all. We must come together. We have to do together. When we all say that harnessing youth power is must, then action needs to be done there. It's not, let's not make it just a wish list and since I am representing Action in Nepal, I'm the executive director there. We are working with young people, and of course the organizer youth advocacy, they are like fantastic young people, members are there. They're doing fantastic job. They even try to bring all the globe in this particular, you know, the 3x8 inches monitor in front of me. It's really fantastic. But there are many young people who does not have access to this. And let's not create another layer of inequality in the near future. So let us all be together. Let's work together, and we can do it. Thank you so much, Suranji. I hope it made it.
Thank you, Sujita. No, more than time. You know, it's inspiration is important. So where you're saying that, you know, the new normal, if it is the same like this, you know, having a difficulty for everyone, it's not acceptable. I do agree. I don't want, you know, a society where I hate each other. I hate everyone around me. I want to, you know, make everyone happy, including myself. So let's move to the next speaker for your remarks from Dr. Uddhav Pakurel.
Hello, namaskar.
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, and I'm also delighted to listen all experiences from especially youth, almost all over the world. As Mathima madam just referred, I think from Nepal also lot many experiences were shared, and I could listen from very many youth all over the world about their own way of thinking, also one way of reflecting about kind of pandemic we have today. It's very exciting, but the way, for example, I remember many of them being engaged in social movement, for example, voluntary organizations and etc. But I was expecting a bit radical way of kind of reflection from them, and that is how I refer to Madam Mathima's kind of reflection. You see, I want to be a bit provocative. I'm not also belonging to kind of young generation, but I'm not that much old as well. Having said that, you see, we need to reflect from this point onwards to see a kind of failure of what, why a single pandemic could cost kind of life of whole human being, why we couldn't move from our home. Definitely we expected a lot in the years, and now in the name of development we did lot many things extracting from nature. We build road, but that was not useful for us for at least 5 months after pandemic. We created many infrastructures in the name of development, but every infrastructure is untouchable now. And why it is so? I think reflection I wanted to hear from youth from this perspective as well. And I think this is very right time to reflect. For example, I was a bit disappointed by again listening to some of the very young, energetic, those who have done quite well job, but the kind of reflection they made could be, for example, still not kind of to the point they could have reflected. For example, Nepal is poor country. How could we say that we're poor even today? Take an example of the West. Take an example of the New York City, and just compare with us, who are more affected today. And that is what is kind of leading point for us to reflect. That is why I think definitely it is very good kind of opportunity to interact with. And I again congratulate not only Susan, but all of us to be part of this. But I think we have to move ahead, a bit ahead, to reflect kind of situation. And for me, if you ask me, this is the total failure of today's this development model in the name of neoliberal economic development. We try to extract very many things from the nature, but whether it was viable, whether it was useful for us, and now again we have to reflect if we can survive without using them. Yes, definitely we could do at least for 5 months, and if not, if 5 months, then why not 1 year? So I think it was kind of it would have been a kind of reflection to backtrack kind of a sustainable development model instead of this neoliberal model popularized by the West. But you see, even most of us could not reflect. That is why what is happening globally, for example, take an example of kind of relief and rescue packages came up at least in India, US, and etc. And even in Nepal. I think even if Nepal introduced some of the packages, I think it will be totally to support those who are again manipulating or extracting kind of natural thing and telling us that this is the development for you, but actually it is not useful for us. So I think yes, definitely we are at the end of this conference, but for youth who are very energetic, I want to make you a bit provocative to reflect differently. Definitely Sujata madam used alternative. I work voluntarily with South Asian dialogues on ecological democracy. That is why I think this is right time to think over ecological democracy as well. And definitely here, as others mentioned, will have less disparity, less inequality. Otherwise, you see, even after the pandemic, in the name of recovering pandemic, I think we'll be going towards a very wrong direction, and we will be focusing only recovering kind of financial institutions and etc. These are not kind of model we have. Please read Gandhi. Please read sustainable development theories and try to be less extractive. And now it is our experience, our life. We can survive in at the minimal level. So why not we try to create kind of model in the at least in the discussion, so that government be pushed not to always support kind of inequality creators rather than making it sustainable. Thank you so much.
Doctor, thank you so much. So there are a couple of questions for you, and also there are two hand I saw it. I request you to write your questions so that speakers can write instead of speak again. So let's move to our other speaker, Moon Gurung, who is the country coordinator for UNV in Nepal.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you very much for sharing all these wonderful experiences, some sad stories, some innovative ideas, and suggestions and expectations. You know, this webinar has made it possible for all of us to have this conversation globally. And like, yes, we have talked a lot about the demerits of COVID, but if we look at the positive side, this would have never been possible. We would have been in a hotel with a limited number of people and listening and sharing among one another. So when I see at the positive sides of what the situation today is, I would say, like, we have become old, we have lost our ideas, innovativeness, and we have become like machines, doing the same thing over and over again. So that's why, like, it is the right time for all the young people, because like you have ideas which may sound crazy, but right now is what we need is crazy ideas, because that's the only solution to find different ways of doing things differently. We have been demanding to do things differently, but we always think same and produce the same results, right? So this is the time, young people, I would say that please come up with ideas, be connected, be more engaged with the issues of your country, with the global issues. Think of like what you can bring in as suggestions. With the help of social media, now your ideas are not only limited to one country where you are. It is like it's up in the globe, and anyone can pick it up. But yes, we should not leave anyone behind. And as our friends have said, like those who have technology access to them, we should not only be talking to them. So we need to also think of ways how you can bring the voices from the communities and from the people of your age groups, but from those like who do not have access. So this is the time, like, I think, yes, we have to find out new ways to fight with this current situation, and positiveness and hard work is something which we have always found in you. So that's why the more we work with you guys, the more energetic we become. And everyone who has been saying like we are not so young but not so old is because of the side effects of you guys, right? So we surely would want to work with you guys. Somebody had raised the question that I've been doing a lot of volunteer work, but whenever it comes for job opportunities, like I never get an opportunity, right? So that's the sad reality of our system, that we need experiences at the cost of ideas and innovativeness. So we are changing, and now like there is no other way out that we can survive without changing, right? So I would just recommend and suggest and request is like try to find out things which you can think of as can bring solutions to our problems. Think of like ideas and put it up, be connected, share among like wherever forums you get, and try to learn some skills, because right now, because of the current situation, when we are trapped in our houses, what can be some skills? It doesn't need to be like a technical skill online. It can be like farming, it can be learning ways, making things like furnitures, or doing like creative activities, learning about the communities, making stories about them. So just wherever you are and whatever you can do, I think we have to just find out, like, because now is the time of sustainability. And what we are listening is like people in the urban cities are having situations where they have nothing to eat, but then the people in the rurals, they have food to eat at least, because they can grow things, they can produce. So, but yeah, there will be other people also who don't even have access to that. So I would like this get together in itself was a big learning for me also. And I have seen a lot of like informations floating around. We will be like closely working with Narenji's team and the other organizers and all other people like who really wants to work together to bring in new changes. I would like to share from UN side, we have started an initiative called V for Action, that is Volunteers for Action, and that is like an online portal. Anyone can link over there, get connected, and we will like try to find out ways how we can utilize your expertise and provide you some learning exposures and all. So with that, I would like to end. I think Suranji is about to tell me that your time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Moonji. So Moonji can share that link also in the chat panel. So again, we have a final guest here. So I would like to request Christian Manhart to speak and address to this forum.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon. It is impressive to see how many countries we have, how many experiences we heard today. And I really would like to thank you, to thank Youth Advocacy Nepal for having invited me, even if I'm here only virtually. But I think your event is very timely. Yesterday was International Youth Day, and we are in the middle of the COVID crisis, which affects all of us. Even if the burden, the health burden and life burden is higher for the old people, excuse me, youth are victims, as we have heard, due to education disruption, no internships, less job opportunities, and this is widening the inequalities. And we, UNESCO here in Nepal, we are working together with the Ministry of Education, but also with local government to provide online courses, community radio courses for those who have no internet access, and also direct job training. But I admit this is only a drop in the ocean and cannot replace real education. And as you know, there is a global program worldwide by UNICEF, UNESCO, World Bank, World Food Program to advise governments how to start education again. And we are working here in Nepal also with the Ministry of Education on excuse me, on possibilities to reopen the schools. On the other side, I think you, the young people, you have excuse me, so sorry. You have the responsibility to give a good example and not to get the virus, not to spread the virus further, and to raise awareness among other youth and other people in order to break the spread of the virus. And then you can also, when you're back in your villages, for example, teach young people who are not at school, who have a lower education level than you can teach them. And you have to see it positively. You have time, so you can do things you usually don't do. For example, do sports. Me personally, I do mountain biking and trail running whenever I can, and this gives me a lot of balance. But also you can learn something new, learn a language. I have a friend who started to learn German during the lockdown, or another friend who started to learn French. So you have free of charge courses on YouTube, and you have also charged courses with institutions. But I think you should take this positively and make some use out of this. And with this, I finish. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So it's a pleasure to have all these voices, you know, for this last 2.5 hours. And I repeat this, you know, we are practicing these new things, a new way of working. So if we do not have COVID, we probably do not organize this sort of webinar where we invite so many countries. So we're kind of adapting, and of course, also from this event, we can learn more and, you know, improvise our way of working, way of, you know, organizing this sort of sharing. So I see a couple of hands also now. I would request you to please write your statements in the chat panels so that, you know, even at the last moment, our guest speakers, our previous speakers can write and respond to you. So with this, I would like to hand over this to Narendra Khatiwada, who is the president of Youth Advocacy Nepal, who is coordinating the entire event. And once again, I would like to thank everyone for your patience, for your interesting stories and inspiration for us. So with this, I would like to leave. I'm still listening, but I will not speak after that. And Narenji will provide the concluding remarks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Suranji, for beautifully conducting this exchanging program. And I would like to thank to all the participants, speakers, particularly from the Europe, US, Europe, Africa, and Asia, and also the guest speakers from UNESCO, Christian Menard, Sujita Mathima from Sned Nepal, Dr. Uddhav Pakurel, political analyst, Moon Gurung, UNB coordinator, and we are in the last stage, and we heard the scenario of the COVID-19 in various countries and the responses of the government and the impact of COVID-19 on young peoples. And I hope that this platform was very successful to understand the scenario of the various countries. And before finishing these programs, I would like to mention some of the very crucial issues which young people should understand in this context. First, the case or the issues related to the human rights. I think you might have also heard in this forum that some of the speakers, particularly from the Africa, were saying that in the name of the pandemic, the government is trying to violate the human rights. So this situation might be increased in the days to come. What I would like to mention that young people should really careful towards this issue. Otherwise, the power or authority, or you may tell the government, can violate the human rights in the name of the pandemic, which should be carefully understood by the young people first. And second thing is that what already Uddhav Pakurel also mentioned, that what types of developments we have adopted, and what consequences we face here. That should be understood, that should be critically analyzed by the young peoples. In this regard, what I see that the development model adopted by the world is not very favorable to the human beings, and still we don't know what is the major reasons behind the coronavirus, but we can imagine that, we can guess that the development models particularly promoted by the new liberalism might be also one of the major causes for this coronavirus. So that is why we should also see the model, development model, whatever we are adopting here. And as we all know that the pandemic has not only created the challenges, it has also created the opportunity. If we analyze correctly and if we advocate correctly, then the model can be changed, which can be translated into the sustainable development. That I would like to highlight here. And third, if you see the world scenario in the name of the pandemic, like there is a little bit conflict between China and USA, India and China. So because of this conflict, the world order might have some problems. So in this regard, young people should carefully look this situation and raise the awareness and raise the questions towards the governments to not to enter into the conflictual situations in the name of the pandemic. And finally, if you see the activities of the government of the world, that they are not properly responding to the coronavirus. That is why a lot of young people's marginalized and vulnerable people are facing the various problems. So in this through this forum, I would like to request to all the young people that please ask the questions to make the government accountable, so that our responsibility can be fulfilled. Finally, by participating in this program organized by Youth Advocacy Nepal in the partnership of UNESCO Nepal, Sned Nepal, BSO Nepal, Restless Development Nepal, and more than 40 youth-led organizations, I would like to thank to all. And having said this, I would like to conclude this program. Thank you very much.